I'm Wayne Carey, and this is The Truth Hurts. Well, I'm very excited today because I have an absolute champion of the game, and that word gets thrown around far too often and far too easily. A guy that I grew up with, I was a South Melbourne supporter growing up, being a Wagga Wagga boy, so grew up watching this man, none other than the great Greg Williams. Diesel, welcome to The Truth Hurts.
Wayne, yeah, it's really good to be here. It really is.
You know what that means? Don't be facetious or sarcastic, but it means, Diesel, that you have to tell the truth, all right? So off the top, before we get into your illustrious career and how good you were, I want to talk to you a little bit about, obviously, you're the director of football at the Blues.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're full-time now doing that role. What and why, and I know you're probably hamstrung a little bit to what you can say, but how did the Blues go from playing they were, stagnant, boring, slow movement football, to now a side in the last 4 weeks it just looks like a completely different team? Surge it, get it in quick.
Yeah.
An exciting team to watch. How does that happen? And don't tell me it's what we read in the paper today and that you sat around a bloody bushfire and all of a sudden now you start playing exciting footy.
Yeah, well, I think that's a bit of it, but I think the Vossi's been a super coach at Carlton, and he's obviously went through some grief in the middle of the year. We all did, really. So put that aside. But I think it is the players that drive it all, and I think they've been through some bad times over the last few years, and it was another one coming in the middle of the year there where we lost 6 or so in a row. So, and it's up to them. It's, you can put Dennis Pagan around him or, David Parkin, but it's up to the players in the end. And I think they really didn't blame anyone but themselves, and I think they worked their way through it. So I really think it's important what's happened.
Can it be a case of, clearly at the start of there's expectation? I've tipped the Blues to play finals the last 3 years.
Yep.
So I'm a great judge because that hasn't happened. Expected to play finals this year, and some people even saying top 4 this year. Like you said, you got yourself in a bit of a rut. All of a sudden, you probably – it looks like you definitely can't play finals. Now, mathematically, you obviously still can. That pressure then comes off. What happens then when the pressure, you win the next couple, then all of a sudden people start talking about you again as a finals contender, and the pressure then comes back on. Do you think that can be a subconscious with players?
Oh, yeah, I do. And I think the players haven't played finals or big games like that, and I think even against Port the other day, it was a big game. They had to get it done. They got it done. So hopefully, we can get a few more games done towards the end of the year. We can finish strong instead of the way we finished last year, which probably might have hurt us more than we thought because we're in the 8 the whole year except for about 10 seconds at the end, which was shattering. And but they did have a huge pre-season. We just couldn't get our game going for a long time. We had probably less injuries and everything than the year before. So, yeah, as you know, footy, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of excuses. But at the end of the day, the ladder don't lie, and we're still an outside chance, and we're hopefully we can power home.
Now, before we get into when you first started and came into the competition and dominated from the start, I'd love your opinion because I've heard you, and I know your background, and I think the first game you played, you had 38 possessions or something like that. What is it about? Is it just purely because the game has changed and kids are playing on kids now? So guys like Nick Dacos, I think Sam Walsh is a bit of and Dacos are exceptions because they're both elite runners, so they can really cover the ground. They get to contests. They're both highly skilled guys. But there's so many young players that come in now and dominate from the start. Is that just purely because of the change in the game and because of the fact that the players that are playing now, you're not playing on men. Your kids are playing on other kids. Do you have that same philosophy?
Oh, there's a few men out there still. But there are more kids, and yeah, you're right. There's the young talents seem to be straight in and play well, but not many have ever played like Nick Dacos has straight away. Like he's an exception in Walshy, I think it's really cool that you can pick a kid and they can play straight away. You look at the ones coming up for the Gold Coast, that big power forward guy they've got in their academy, and he looks like. Yeah, just a powerhouse already.
Do you like the game?
No, I love the game. Yeah, I still do. I really do. I think it's better the last few years. We had some issues, scoring and defence. And I get, the pressure and defence is enormous. I just feel, I don't really care how many tackles we put on. I'm more about goals, and I think it's a really cool thing what the better teams are doing, and we're all trying to do, really kick 100 points or more, which I think's pretty awesome to watch.
Well, it's what you want to watch, isn't it? Okay, let's get to your favourite topic. You.
Myself.
You. And I have heard you speak.
Well, just tell the truth here.
Yeah, just tell the truth. So, country boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, country boy, and you end up at Geelong. Tell us a little bit about your background and your junior footy, and did you win awards and best and fairest and all that sort of stuff, and then how you got to Geelong.
Yeah, look, I think I actually lived in Ascot Vale till I was 10. I was in Footscray. I was born in Footscray Hospital, and I was in Footscray zone, and then Essendon was across the road zone. So the old man back for Essendon, so I always went to Windy Hill as a young kid. Yep. And then we went to Bendigo when I was 10, and the old man was a plumber, and his 3 sons are a plumber. I'm a plumber. So Dad did that his whole life. But, I played for Golden Square, which was half a K down the road, just lived there, cricket, footy.
That was a Carlton area though, wasn't it?
Definitely Carlton zone, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, very much so. And I got to barrack for Carlton because of that, and, there was players come up, coaches, Jesselinko came up, those sort of things back then. And, they're very much so. And the history of, Southby, Keogh, Ashman, McConville, it's just Tony Southcombe, which I'll talk about him in a minute, but I played obviously under 12s, under 14s, under 16s, and tell the truth, but I was a star from under 12.
Yeah. So you won league B&Fs.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah, I did it. Cricket and footy, really. I was lucky. I played under 19 cricket. I was captain of Country Victoria cricket as well. And
what were you?
I was a batsman. Yeah.
No, I either would have thought a spin bowler, but anyway.
No, I was a batsman. I was a gully fieldsman. I was the best catch ever in the gully. No one ever got one past me. But no, I love sport. I really did. Just school and.
Well, that's country, isn't it? Though.
Yeah, it
is. That's all you did as a kid.
Yeah, it is.
Look at kids now, and they're behind a screen doing something, whereas as a kid you would have never been inside.
No, that's right. No, look, it's a lot different. But, I love my upbringing in Bendigo, and I pretty much went down 16s, and I didn't play under 18s. I went straight into seniors at Golden Square. Tony Southcombe was coach, and we had a great side. And the Bendigo League was very strong then. A lot of players could have played AFL, even in the Golden Square team, I reckon, if they had wanted to. So no, it was a great upbringing.
So obviously you're known for your skill. And I've always believed, and you go to Auskick these days or even junior coaches, and one of my criticisms, if you can't kick, if you're a dad that can't kick or you're a coach that can't kick, don't teach your kids. Give it to someone that can. Clearly you had good coaches because your skills, you were taught the right way and you worked on it early.
No, very much so, but I think you can be lucky too. I just felt I could kick both feet all the time.
But someone told you to do that.
Yeah, the old man did. And, I had an older brother, a couple of younger ones, but the older one was the problem for me. He was a year older, but he was 6'3" and tough guy, John. And, we grew up together training and practicing, and, he was a big strength of mine. But as a junior, I always handballed as a junior, which was very unusual when you go right back there. Athletically, I was very average. I was the worst runner in the team, pretty much, which is pretty unique in itself. And that was pretty much the problem. Why I got knocked back a few times, but I just got the ball a lot. My dad used to say I used to walk around and get 40 possessions, and win under 16s or under 12s or whatever. And I think that was a bit of a problem when I did actually get to Carlton, and athletically I was way off. Yeah.
But you just clearly when you're doing that, you're reading the game.
Oh no, that's no doubt about that. Yeah, no, I read it better than anyone. I knew I did. I knew I had something, that others didn't, and I just handballed a lot. Create the loose man, which I still think's the main thing in footy. And I did it better than most, or better than anyone really back then, and handball and get run.
So you get knocked back a few times, and then you somehow end up at Geelong.
Yeah, I did. I was in obviously Carlton zone, and then went did 2 pre-seasons with the Blues, and that's what I was talking about, the fitness stuff. Yeah, I was just so way off it in regards to fitness. And it took me a couple of pre-seasons at Carlton. Tony Southgate was a big help. He was like a marathon runner. I did pre-seasons with him and ran like, I've never ran before. I used to go to work at plumbing at Eagle Hawk, it'd be 10 k's from Golden Square, and Dad make me run home, run the training, and I just did some. No one else was doing.
How old are you now?
Oh, that's probably 17, 18.
Yeah.
Even,
So it took you to 17, 18 though to get that work ethic.
Yeah, I never actually had to do anything like that. I just played footy and did well, but this is obviously another level to get into the VFL back then, and but it took me 2 or 3 years. Then I actually wrote to Tommy to go to pre-season at Geelong, Tom Hafey, and that was another one, the hardest one ever. Tommy was
tough pre-seasons.
Oh, he's tough, real tough, which has really suited me. And I was at that stage, I'd done 3, and I was as fit as I'd ever been, and moving as well as I'd ever had, and which was still not as good as most players, but I felt so fit. Yeah.
So you could tell us about your first game. I've heard you speak about this a few times. Give us the stats. So everyone's raving about Nick Dacos and others that have come into the comp, but Nick in particular the last couple of years. Yeah. What were your stats?
Oh, look, I struggled at half time. I was 20 touches at half time. So it was tough. I had Mick Turner on the wing, Gary Senior on the other wing, and Jacko was full forward, and we had a good side, and it was great. That was Gary Senior's first game for Geelong as well. So he kicked 4 on the wing, and
4 from the wing.
Yep, and I had 38 in the end, and I tired a bit in the second half. I had 18 in the second half. But I got 3 votes in the Brownlow, which was pretty cool.
You got in your first game 3 Brownlow votes. Yeah. Wow. So the young fella from the Gold Coast did that, didn't he? So
Rao.
Yeah, Rao. So how many games did you play for Geelong? It was only 34. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. 34. So how do you come to the decision then after 34 that you're taken off? And I'd pretty much know the answer to this. It's called cash. Yeah, right. But so Sydney, South Melbourne go to Sydney, and Tommy Hafey goes to Sydney.
That's right.
So
Geelong,
so you follow your coach and line your pockets. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's true. In my first year, I played 12 games, and I did my knee at Footscray and missed the rest of the season. So and then another pre-season, and I actually won the best in Fairest in '85 for Geelong.
So that's your second year.
And I had a huge year, like most stats anyone's ever had. That was cool. And then, the Cats didn't want. I felt I was only 21 or 2 at that stage, and I was the best player, and they said, "Oh no, you got to be paid 10th. You're only 21 or 2.
So they did it on age, not winning the BNF.
I said you got this wrong here. But anyway, and the Swans, Edelson come along, and I got 3 times, 4 times more to go to the Swans, and it was just I love Geelong and the team and everything, and I got married at the end of '85, December 21. The whole Geelong team were there, and then I left. They knew I was going, and it was pretty hard, but I went, and
it's unheard of now, because you would have after a year like that. If you're playing today, you would be re-signed. You'd be signing a 4-year extension. Yeah. The money would just go to where it should go, given that you've just won the BNF. But in hindsight, it was probably a good move, given you went up to, I guess not a foundation club because they were South Melbourne, but to go up there and help Sydney, South Melbourne break into Sydney. That's right. Under Edelson, Barry Round, Stevie Wright, the two. I grew up being a South Melbourne supporter. Jared Healy, Mitchell. So you had all of these. It was a super team. You had the Wiz. Did you go? By the way, did you go to his birthday Saturday night? Did you get an invite?
No, Ricky's was the same time.
No, Ricky's was the week before. No,
I didn't go either. Unfortunately.
So you go up there. I mean, that must have been interesting in itself, given that Sydney had no idea about AFL footy, rugby town, but you have instant success. I mean, you're a bloody exciting team to watch. You took the game on, you moved it quickly, you started it out of the middle, you won Jared Healy of Brownlow, you won one yourself, but that must have been an exciting time. And getting around Sydney and no one really giving a crap who you were.
No, it was a huge move for me. Like, country sort of, to go there was like different world. But it worked well. I think Hafey and, he's just that sort of coach. He just got the blokes that were there, the new blokes coming in, and got the team going straight away. And, it just worked well. And I think we finished on top the first couple of years. I think the first year I struggled a bit. I won the Brownlow in 86, my first year there.
Struggled a little bit.
And I didn't like the SCG, but no, I loved it. And the team finished on top. Unfortunately, 86, 87, we finished on top, but we got knocked out.
Straight sets.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because, well, it's a bit like Geelong, I reckon, in the early 90s, and that was you were a free flowing. You'd like to score, get it in quick. The Wiz kicked 100, obviously, in 87.
Yep.
And that's the type of team you were. But defensively, you could be scored against. So come finals, when the game changed, harder to win. Would that be? Is that fair?
Very much so. And I think the SCG as well. Like,
there
was no home finals. There was no home finals then. Like, we would have been to its SCG would have been a huge difference. But obviously, that's the rules. Then it didn't happen. We went down to Melbourne and couldn't get a win.
So then you leave Sydney, massive deal, players going everywhere. I think you had a choice. Was St Kilda?
Yeah, I had a few.
It was St Kilda or Carlton, but it came down to those two. I think Robert Harvey might have been mentioned in the deal for him to go to Sydney. I mean, he ended up winning 2 Brownlows and a super player as well.
Oh, very much so.
So you end up at the Blues for another massive pay rise.
Yep. And
invariably you end up with a premiership. But I want to talk about one particular year, and that was 93. So you get to the Blues, but 93, I was the favourite for the Brownlow, by the way, in 93.
Yeah.
You were second favourite, were you?
Oh, look, I can't remember.
Gavin Wanganeen ends up winning it on 18 votes. You end up on 17. I ended up on 16. Yeah. I polled in the most games that year, but I got all 2s and 1s. How that happened, I don't know. And famously, you had 40 disposals in the last round of that year and did not get a vote. For someone that gobbed off, and by the way, we can both put our hands up for that, you still won 2, but given that you didn't get a vote in that game, you were probably stiff.
Oh, I was very stiff.
So you should have been a 3.
Oh, look, I think I'm over it, but
you're over it.
No, not the umpire. I'm not over.
Yeah.
There's a couple of umpires there that day, and one of them was an arsehole, and he always never gave me a free kick in his life. And anyway, that's just the way it was. But I always say, and whether it's Leigh Matthews or you, or you've all been hardly done by in games, and so have I in some games. But at the end of the day, he deliberately didn't vote for me.
Yeah, right.
He cheated, and that's what I'm pissed off about.
There's no doubt that that's human nature, that if you're being abused, you probably...
No, well, I wasn't abusing him that day, but, he just said, stuff him. I know the other umpire actually told me what happened, and he said he came in after the game. He's a junior umpire, Bird, his name was. He grabbed me at the Brownlow about 10 years later, and he said, I just want to talk to you about and he said, we came in after the game, and Russo said, who do you think was best? He said, I think Greg Williams was best. And he said, no, I'm not fucking voting for him.
Really?
Yeah. And then, who do you reckon 2? He said, Greg's got to get 2. No, I'm not voting for him. And then 1, no, I'm not voting for him. So
there you go. You only needed 1 to have a draw.
Yeah, just one,
with Gavin Wanganeen. By the way, Gav was a worthy winner.
No, I'm not. Nothing against
He was
Gavin.
a worthy winner, but yeah, right.
Yeah.
You probably should have got a vote. So then 94, you All-Australian.
We lost the grand final in 93.
Yeah, 93. You get to the grand final, and the Baby Bombers. By the way, a lot of people, we beat Essendon twice that year.
Yeah.
So it was one of those years. It was a really open year. Then 94, All-Australian. I didn't realize 3 times All-Australian.
I think so.
Yeah, so not as many as I would have thought. You probably should have been more than that. But 94, I think you're All-Australian captain. I think you might have been All-Australian captain. You won the BNF.
That's right.
I think. And you also, was that a Brownlow as well?
It was.
That was your that's a Brownlow. I was also the favourite in that year, 94, until I got suspended. I think I was leading too when I got suspended.
That was the best and fairest, Wayne.
Hey, yeah. So I knew we'd come here. I knew that there'd be some good bad to hear. So 94, you based. That's a clean sweep, other than the premiership. which West Coast obviously win against the Cats. And I think the Cats might have beaten you in a final, did they? Yeah. No, they beat us in the prelim.
But we got knocked out straight sets.
You got knocked out straight sets that year. So you have a great individual year, and then 95 comes along, and I mean you beat us in the prelim that year. There wasn't going to be a side that beat you that year. You were the dominant team by far, and it's amazing because either side of that 95, you obviously weren't the strongest. Not always the best team wins the grand final, but 95, the best team won the grand final. I'm sure you agree with that, and you go on and win. One of the great individual awards. You win the Norm Smith. You kick 5. Great young team, but you had Kernahan and Bradley, and and then you had your warriors like Peter Dean and you obviously Sauce, and must have been a great year.
Yeah, it was cool, and I think there's a bit of like Geelong last year. They had a lot of old guys as well. They won 16 in a row. We won 16 in a row. It was pretty similar, with Geelong older guys and Kernahan and. Spalding, like we had a really good side. Cooter was there starting off, and
Christou, and so you had a blend. You had the older guys, but then you had that really talented youth coming through.
Yeah, we did, and it all went. Yeah, I think we won nearly 10 goals every game in the finals, even. Oh no, I think Brisbane got close, but I think we were 10 goals up at half time. So.
And then what happens from there? 95, 96.
No, well, I think maybe you should talk about the grand final a bit more.
Yes, more than happy to. I just wanted to brush over that. I knew you wanted to talk about. No, well, you kick 5, you push forward.
No, look, I'd never played forward before, and I'd always played centre, and I went down there next to Kernahan and that, and it wasn't that hard.
Well, it's not hard when you just float down there and they're not expecting it, and you just read it off Six's hands.
I'm only 5'8". It's different if you're 6'5" and. Mountain and good looking, and he can mark everything. But no, it was good. I kicked 5. Yeah, I loved it. And it went on. It was my birthday that day as well, so that was pretty cool.
So clearly you play footy to win flags. You've like we've already said, you did everything in the game. Are you one that success? Do you think about your success, or do you think about the failures more than the success in your footy career? Like a lot of individual accolades, but at the end of the day, we play a team sport.
Yeah, we do. I always thought about it as individually. I wanted to win everything, I wanted to win the Sun Herald Award or the World of Sport, or I tried to win everything. I tried to be best on ground every day I played. That's just the way I pretty much from when I got 40 nearly in my first game, I said, I reckon I can keep doing this. I don't know why. I didn't tell anyone any of that, of course, but I'm telling you now. I'm telling the truth now.
The truth hurts.
I went for 10 possessions a quarter for my whole career. I practiced to do that. I trained. When I trained in drills or games or circle work, I get the ball more than anyone. And I pretty much had a never happy attitude, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was sort of never happy unless I got 40, pretty much.
So if you got 40, you came off the ground, you were pleased and you're happy with that. And if
I got to 38, I'd be pissed.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I was just that focused, and probably too much so when you really think about it. But I do really think it's the difference between, finishing games off and not. Like I played with so many players who had great halves and great 3/4 and great quarter, but I was very consistent, and I was just driven. Yeah, that's just the way I was.
Any players of today remind you of that? Of yourself?
Look, there's some really serious professionals at Carlton, the younger guys and, Walshy and Cripps and these guys, but they're really, and even like Sam Mitchell really was pretty similar. Tom Mitchell sort of drives himself the sort of same as well.
Sam was a very similar player to you, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd say, very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't have to get far. He never got back off the mark. It was just one step off the mark, left, right. Left, right handball. So
he's very skillful both sides and not very quick. Rookie.
No, but
it's hard for him. Yeah,
you were probably better in the air.
Yeah, no, look, I could see things Mitch couldn't see, but that's fine.
And who are the players? So you just mentioned Sam Mitchell, and I agree with that comparison. One, do you like comparisons? two do you think you can compare one era to the other, and who were the players? Like I love watching you. I can admit that. I love watching. I thought Robert Harvey was one of the best midfielders of the 90s.
Yeah, he was.
He was an absolute star. But who do you love now, and who did you love?
Oh, Leigh Matthews was always my hero as a kid. You know what he put up with and how good he was.
Yep.
But when I started, it was, it's just, I don't know. I just find it now, even it's some really good players. I love, Charlie and, the Carlton players, but there's a lot of good players in the team.
What about, do you believe in tags? Because you got, unlike the modern day player where you shake hands and you go either way. I mean, imagine that. You would have loved that. You actually got tagged every week. So did Robert Harvey. So did Nathan Buckley. So did James Hird. I'm on all of these guns.
Well, you got tagged every week.
Yeah. So tell me about what you think of the tag and why has it gone out, and tell me also the toughest. Was it Denham? Was it Libba? I mean, which one of those guys did you find the hardest to? And you gave. Well, I want to after that. I want to talk about who gave, because you gave a few out yourself.
Yeah, I haven't quite found one tough enough, but look, there's so many good players, but sorry, what we're doing?
The best tagger.
Oh, the best tagger, right? Yeah, look, I had trouble with like more Bradley types than the Denhams or
They could just run. They could just
run off here. I found more trouble with that. Like I had so many different types of taggers. The ones who run, the ones who don't even look at the ball.
Yep.
And all that sort of stuff. So it was difficult. I really found it hard getting tagged all the time, but you just had to put up with it. And that's just the way it was. But now, comparisons, I thought what I work on is it's a numbers game, really. And I think when I played, we probably had 250, 280 touches the whole team, and I got 10% of the touches every week. I averaged, and then you look at it now, and they're doing 400, 380. Well, I honestly believe I'd be getting 338 a game. Honestly, 40. I really do, and I don't think it's a problem. I really don't. But even with, and the biggest bitch I have with, and there's no disrespect because they're super young players, Sheasel and Nick. Compare them to me, and Sheasel's had 15 kick-ins. No, but when you had 15, he had 35, and you say 15 kick-ins, he's had 20.
So it shouldn't count. Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't count as a kick, should it?
Freebies, that's a modern day thing, but
should be gone. So unbelievable footy career, and I've heard you speak about this before. You gave a bit out, but you copped a lot, and you've spoken a bit, and it's a big topic at the moment. But concussion, like. The battles of after footy with that, and when did you know that you did have an effect from concussion? Does it affect you still today?
Yeah,
it's a massive topic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is massive. Actually, I went to a conference last week on it as well. I've really been into the concussion stuff because I just feel like the things that have deteriorated with me isn't normal. That's all. And I'm fine, people come up to me all the time, is your brain right? Like my brain's pretty good. I can still live well. And
no, you seem pretty sharp here.
Yeah, but I'm on some things, just levels me out. I do get angry still and, stuff like that. Anger management's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not normal for me.
Yep.
And,
what, just a shorter fuse or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Anything upsets me, like music or, but that's not the only thing, just memory and, there's some specific things I do every day that to remember to come today, stuff like that. But I cope fine. But it is a fact, and it is a real problem still. And, now we've got women playing as well, and they tackle like, no tomorrow, and I just think it's things will keep changing, but I just think they've got to happen a bit quicker.
So when you see the new rules changing in the game and the tackle, and there's let's be honest, they're inconsistent with it. Yeah. That's the only problem that I have.
Yeah.
But when you see a tackle or there's talk in and around this concussion now, you understand why, and you're a supporter of it, or do you think the fact that there's inconsistencies around it, it's still not where it should be?
I still think there's a lot more that will have to be done, I'm trying to save the game. You know, I'm worried about the game. Yeah, I am. And I think even the people I spend a lot of time with, the concussion guys and scientists and stuff like that, like trying to work out ways how we can save the game, not trying to – but they have to stay out longer. You know, 2 weeks is not –
Yeah.
30's pretty good, but – and I know that sounds terrible for supporters and the clubs. And me, I don't want any Carlton players to miss a week, you know. But it's not the point. It's the – you know, if you get concussed and then, you know, you get concussed again, you know, you're in trouble, and the players have got to understand that more. And even the way we train, you know, there's no point tackling so hard at training. It's just, you know, it's just stupid. And the facts are that the more hits you get, you don't have to be concussed. You just got to be whacked. You know, just whack after whack. The longer you're in the game, the worse it's going to be for you.
Now, it's probably obvious, but I've never heard anyone. We'll finish on this. Yeah. Well, how did you get the nickname Diesel, and when did it start?
Diesel was a Geelong thing. Mick Turner was captain, and there was he's a great captain, Mick Turner, and a great player at winger. Like, he's a superstar athlete. And actually, I like talking about Mick too, because I think the first practice game out at Geelong, I said, you know, Mick's the captain. I said, Mick, stand over there at a boundary throwing. And I got it and handballed straight to him. And he came up to me after and he said, where do you want me to stand? He's a smart man.
Yeah, that's
we had a great...
Smart captain.
Yeah, we had a great relationship, and it was pretty cool. And, he had like a promotional tape. Like, even then it was ahead of his time. There's a Washington Redskins guy. His name was John Giddings, this guy. He was about your height, but he was about twice as big as you.
Yep.
You know, he's a monster, and he's a running back, and he just took blokes with him over the line, and it was just a great tape. And his nickname was Diesel, so they pretty much named me after him, which I was a bit embarrassed really, but it stuck. And yeah, that's slow and reliable as well. I think that's
it.
I had a present for you. Sorry, is it all right if I bring him out?
Yeah. Bring it out. Show me a look. What do you got here? What's this one? I haven't seen this one. What's that one?
That's it, EJ Whitten.
Oh, that's enough. Well, I can't win one of those.
No, well, I'm just showing you a couple of things you haven't won.
Okay, the other ones I haven't won. I've got two of those.
You've got two of those.
I'm the only one that's got a gold one of those, by the way.
Yeah, that's
with
good.
the centenary. So I got two of them.
No, well done.
Well done. Okay, we'll go through these medals. Okay. No, I haven't got one of those. Geez, it's not as...
No, they're gold, but they're small,
Yeah. So that's a Brownlow.
It's definitely a Brownlow. Mate.
That's a Brownlow. Not as big as I thought. But anyway, I haven't got one of those.
It's a lot of effort for that.
Yeah.
That's a Geelong Best and Fairest.
Geelong BNF.
Actually, I love medals for awards.
You know, these are very similar to the Sid Barkers. They're the same size.
Yeah.
I don't get why they're so small. Anyway,
I had one at Carlton, and you get a trophy, and you lose it, and I just reckon medals are the best.
Oh no, there's that's the norm.
That's norm.
That's norm.
Yep.
That's
yeah, it's pretty cool.
What else have we got in here? Oh, there you go.
Oh, another one.
There's the other Brownlow.
Yeah,
there's the two Brownlows. Well, you know what? Thanks for that.
No, I just thought.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for rubbing.
You should have brought yours in.
Thanks for rubbing that in. Well, I've got a few. I've got a few more BNFs and a few other those things, but not as many Brownlows. But you know what, mate? I could sit here anyway. See you later. I've now got two Brownlows. I could sit here and talk to you for a month. I'm serious about that. It's super to catch up with one of the, like I said, champion gets thrown around far too easy, I think, in the game. They play about 10 games now and they're calling him a champion. You were a champion,
you're a good judge,
superstar, and a very good judge. And it was an absolute pleasure, mate. Good luck to the Blues for the rest of the year, and thanks for being on The Truth Hurts.
Always fun talking to you, Wayne. Thanks.
Cheers.